The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas wants fees for small online fund transfers among banks removed as it pushes for financial inclusion. We get the thoughts of the Fintech Alliance.PH Lito Villanueva. Glad you could join us tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Okay, sir, the Alliance is a huge group of unicorns. We're talking here of huge capital by the $1 million and transactions by the trillions. Let's establish first the baseline. How much exactly transactions are you cornering? Because I've seen in the literature, it's 90% of the Philippines transactions. Is that right?
That's right. In fact, it's more than 95% of all digital financial transactions in the Philippines now would be members of the Fintech Alliance.PH. So it was established in 2017, and Fintech Alliance has been the collaborator of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and other regulators, including the legislators, Philippine Congress, in crafting regulations and laws pertaining to enabling financial inclusion in the Philippines. And you're right, one of the things that we have been advocating is really to scale inclusive digital finance in the Philippines. And in fact, one of the things that we've been trying to push as well is to further push the twin goals set by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas insofar as the digital payments transformation roadmap. And that particular roadmap provides for or calls for the industry to push for, to enable at least 70% of adult Filipinos to be part of the formal financial system and to convert 50% of retail financial transactions to digital by end of this year. So the good news
it's
there...
It's a tall order.
It is a tall order, yes. But the good news there is that the entire industry has been united, and the good news is that we will be able to achieve those twin goals before the end of this year.
Amazing. But the thing there, the tricky part is for you to be able to convince people to a shift to digital, to convert those transactions to digital, would need, lowering costs. And we're talking here of fund transfers. We know that fund transfers, small value, 1,000 or less, would cost us 8 pesos to 25 pesos. I know that the Bangko Sentral has been time and again trying to convince banks to lower the transaction fees, if not dismantle that altogether. And it's really just moral suasion, right? So they cannot really impose. So what happened to the talks? Have you met with the Bangko Sentral?
Yes, in fact, we've been supporting the Bangko Sentral of Pilipinas. In fact, BSP Governor Eli Remolona has been talking to the entire industry in terms of us being able to support them by way of really waiving those fees. Just to give you a background, there are about 82 BSP supervised financial institutions, and that would involve or include universal banks, commercial banks, thrift banks, rural banks, and including the digital banks as well as the electronic money issuers. So far, the whole idea is for us to be able to agree on that particular statement by the BSP governor. And in fact, we are pushing towards that direction.
You actually met with him. And when was this?
In fact, that was in the discussion with the industry. And in fact, we will be committing to that or supporting that initiative of the governor, because again, it really boils down to us helping the entire industry and having to shift the Filipinos in terms of having to adapt to digital payments. So far, we have quite a number of banks that have actually adopted to waiving those fees. And InstaPay, for example, would be the low-value transactions in real time up to 50,000 pesos. So once we were able to waive those fees, that will practically further increase the transaction in terms of adoption to InstaPay or fund transfers. In fact, there has been a recorded 40% growth year on year in terms of transaction value as of July of this year, and it is now about 2.5 1.69 trillion pesos from about 1.9 trillion pesos last year. So I think we've seen the exponential growth of adoption to digital payments.
Sure. So there are 3 banks so far that dismantled or totally removed the fees. So do we expect that there will be more lenders? Was there actual commitment from the lenders based on talks with Governor Eli Remolona?
Yes, in fact, there are, according to Governor Remolona, in fact, there are about 3 banks right now. And in fact, I would also say that RCBC will also be announcing something effective October, that we will also be waiving those fees by mid-October. So far we have 3, and we hope that we'll be able to have more banks and EMI or wallet providers to also join the bandwagon. No? And this will definitely redound to the benefit of every Filipino consumer.
It's good that you mentioned the e-wallet providers, because GCash and PayMaya are your members of this
Precisely.
alliance. Yes, I've done my homework. So, yeah, of course, GCash charges some fees, a small amount for transactions made through that platform. So, what's the sense that you've been getting from these e-wallet from your members?
Well, the good thing with the members is that they also see the value of having to collaborate with regulators and seeing the ultimate benefit to our Filipino consumers. In fact, GCash also announced that they are waiving the P2 micro merchant fees for micro merchants. And the other players in the industry will definitely be part of this engagement. And again, this will redound to the benefit of every consumer amongst our Filipino users of digital payments. And I think that has been the commitment of all the members. And we are seeing the traction, the scale by which all of these users are now really embracing digitalization. And of course, that has been the scenario. I think the projection now is that the Philippines is poised to be a $1 trillion economy by 2033, according to S&P Global. And I think this has been because of the massive push towards digitalization.
Embracing digitalization, how would you give, what kind of assurance could you give those still not completely sold to using e-wallets and digital banking for their transactions because of the issue of cybercrime or some fraud?
Well, while we have seen the exponential growth of adoption to digital payments, we have also seen the rise in cybercrime or cyber fraud. That's why the ultimate goal is on how we can be able to push for massive consumer education. And in fact, the Fintech Alliance launched about last month what we call the hashtag Wag Magpaloko Maging Scam Alerto, multi-stakeholder nationwide campaign on cybersecurity education. Because the ultimate goal is on how we can educate every consumer that they should not share their OTPs or any financial records with anyone or to strangers, because this is really the root cause of all of this cyber fraud.
Okay. Financial literacy is really crucial for a market that's yet to be really financially sophisticated, such as the Philippines. Thank you so much, really, for coming over to the studio. Sure. And that's Fintech Alliance DOT or .PH founding chairman, Lito Villanueva.